And soon. We're good. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us for Backstage Live, another edition. My name is Brianna Rodriguez, and I'm the managing editor here. And today, I'm very, very excited to introduce a very special guest. This is Allie Stroker. To call her a trailblazer is no exaggeration. You were the first woman on Broadway in a wheelchair. You were the first woman to graduate from NYU, also, who's in a wheelchair. Tell me more about what you've been up to, and you're now doing TV shows, you did Glee, you're doing 10 Days in the Valley on ABC, you got a lot going on. So tell us.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's like summer was so chill, and then like all of a sudden fall hits, and it's like wham! So I'm working on a one-woman show that I'm going to be doing at the Green Room on 42nd Street and 10th on September 17th and 18th. I'm really excited about it. I've done a one-woman show before, so I know that I can get through an hour alone on stage and like survive it. So that fear is not as great, but I'm really nervous because it's it's a big responsibility to entertain somebody, like a group of 120 people for an hour. But the show's called Burning Old Dresses. Yes. And the idea came from, I moved back into the city this summer after living out in New Jersey for a little while, and I got rid of all of this stuff that I've been carrying around for years and years and years, and I was like, this feels so good to like let go of so much of the past. Yeah. And so this show is called Burning Old Dresses because it's sort of like getting rid of all your like old emotional shit that you keep
all your baggage
like in a closet, And so I'm going to be talking about stuff that I've never talked about on stage or publicly before, and I'm really, really excited and scared.
That sounds exciting. I feel like one-woman shows or one-person shows in general can be quite intimidating. Yeah,
they're totally terrifying. But this one is really, really special to me also because I just turned 30.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
When's your birthday? June. That makes you a Gemini.
Yes. No. That's like the stereotype, right?
Yeah.
But so being 30 and like feeling like for the first time like a real adult.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you 30?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, it's like this moment. It's like this moment where you're like, oh, whoa, like
no.
I'm not. I mean, I'll always be a kid, but like I'm not a kid.
So like your one-woman show is like, this is my adult coming out.
This like I'm a woman now. Yeah, exactly. So it's gonna be really cool.
That's so exciting. And so you wrote it.
Yeah. Well, it's all music, like it's covers. So it's like theater and pop and like country, like all songs that I love. It's like my favorite playlist. Yeah. And then I wrote all the stories in between, and David Perlow is directing it, and Matt Almond is music directing it, and so I have a really cool team of people, and we'll have backup singers and a 4-piece band.
That's so
sort
exciting.
of like a full production. It's a full production.
That's so exciting. You were such a theater kid at heart, which I love.
Yes.
But then you're like TV now.
Okay, so that was after I graduated from Tisch Drama. Yeah. I decided that I wanted to move to LA because I thought maybe there'd be some opportunities out there, and Glee had just come out, and I was like, I big deal. So I moved out to LA, and that's kind of how like the TV bugs started for me. And this past year, I shot a new show on ABC called 10 Days in the Valley with Kira Sedgwick, and it premieres on October 1st on ABC. Yeah,
which is so exciting.
10 p.m. And which is really funny because my dad's like, no, I go to bed at 9. I'm not going to be able to watch it. I was like,
you're like, Dad,
you're
you're
not
going
to stay up and watch
you
it?
have to stay up for this one, Dad.
Yeah. Please? No.
He must be watching.
Yeah.
Maybe he's watching. You have to stay up, Dad. If you
stay up, Dad. No. But yes, okay, so when you shoot a TV show, you don't see it before it airs.
So you know as much as we do.
I'm going to be watching with all of you. Like, I don't know what it's going to be like. I mean, I've seen the trailer. I can feel like the tone of it. Obviously, I've read all the scripts, but I'm like, what is this going to be?
Oh my god, it's so exciting. Well, tell us about your character.
Okay, so I play a writer named Tamara, and she is one of the writers in the writer's room on the show. So there's like a show on the show.
Yes.
Yeah, follow. So, so Kara Sedgwick's character is a showrunner on this kind of cop show, and
it's a drama. This isn't a comedy.
Just
to clarify,
it isn't a comedy. It's a drama, and and so I play a writer, and I think what was sort of exciting about this part was that a lot of times when I play roles. There is the need to talk or share or explain my disability and my chair, and in this show, it's not.
That's amazing.
Like I don't, and so I just play a writer, and that is my storyline.
That's awesome.
So it was a really really fun experience. Also, I've never done like a recurring part. I'm on 4 out of the 10 episodes.
Amazing.
And so that was cool to like come back and like get to you get to know everybody and you sort of feel like you're a part of telling this whole story and not just like a one-off
pop in pop out
character part.
Yeah. I'm so curious about that transition for you from going from theater to television and what you would say to actors who are thinking of might be doing the same thing.
I think what I have learned is that they are, first of all, 2 very separate art forms. Like, acting on TV couldn't be more different than acting on stage. And then the other part of it is that at this point, because there are so many different platforms for content like TV shows and anything on camera, I would, if someone is doing theater and interested in doing on-camera stuff, I would say, like, start writing your own stuff. And, like, create your own web series. And there's so many platforms out there. You can literally, like, release it on YouTube. And just start to play around with it. Because what's different is that with theater, there are so many ways to get experience and to practice and rehearse. And with TV, it's not... There aren't as many ways, so I would say like create your own opportunities to get to know this medium.
It's also it's so interesting hearing like theater actors talk about going to TV. It's like you have to think about how tight the camera is and how big your performance is and all that kind of stuff, all that like really technical aspect of that comes into your craft.
Exactly.
Did you find that as well?
It was fun to like watch everyone else also work on set because
I mean, Kirsten is.
Oh my gosh. Well, she's a pro and a boss and so good. And one of the producers on this show, and that's like one of my dreams is like to produce and like star in a show. And so it was like getting a master class. It was just like watching a professional. And half the time, like a huge part of it is like hitting your marks and making sure that like hitting your marks means like that you land physically in the right place so that the camera can capture you in the right angle. But it feels different in the room than what it looks like on camera, which is weird. And on stage, you don't think about that kind of stuff. On stage, it's like turning out and making sure that everyone can see you and hear you, and that the story is told for 120 people in a massive, massive space. Or not 120 people. I'm thinking about my cabaret. It's on the mind. No, but
as it well should be.
Maybe even maybe even like 1,200 people in a theater. Like you're thinking it's totally 2 different beasts.
What is your favorite way to get into character? Like when you're ready, when you're about to go on, like how do you? I mean, obviously, it's different with characters.
Yeah, but my favorite thing is getting into character, like putting on their clothes and like doing their hair and like the makeup. Like to me, like it's like playing dress up, literally. And all of a sudden, like you're in somebody else's clothes and you're like, oh, here I am. That's my favorite thing. I'm not like super technical where I'm like breathing and like doing crazy stretches. Like I just like to like put on this, you know, this character's clothes and put their hair the way that they would wear it and their jewelry and their makeup and their shoes and have at it.
It's so fun.
Yeah, it's so fun.
So how did you come into acting? What drew you to it?
Yeah.
How'd you get here?
Yes, great question. I started, I was introduced to theater by my next door neighbor on the Jersey Shore, Rachel Antonoff, who's actually a brilliant fashion designer, and her brother is Jack Antonoff, who is the lead singer of Bleachers, which was like a big band right now. And so they were very close family friends, and Rachel had been up at Stage Door Manor for the summer, and she came home and she was like, I'm directing a production of Annie, and you're going to be playing Annie. And I was like, ah! But really into it and really excited and really looked up to her. So that was kind of the beginning, and then I realized that I was obsessed with it, and I wanted to do as much theater as I could possibly be a part of.
Yeah. So then after Annie, what then? Where'd you go from there?
I auditioned for a professional singing group for kids called the Kids for Kids Project that was based out of New York, and it was like a touring group that raised money for Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So it was this really neat opportunity to sing and perform and do sort of this like professional show and help other kids.
That's amazing.
Which just felt like perfectly aligned with everything that I like and that is important to me. So that was kind of the next thing, and then I just started to do theater in the town I grew up in, which was Ridgewood, New Jersey, and then I went to NYU.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you find a lot of your training from NYU is still living inside of your craft now?
Absolutely. I loved NYU and I loved the experience that I got, and but I do think that the greatest training is when you are actually doing shows and like actually on stage and in rehearsal. That's I think where you learn the most, because there is that. Well, this is for me. I work best under like pressure. So there is like that pressure and that like we're putting a show up in 2 weeks. You have to know this. You have to hit this, and and so but I definitely NYU was amazing.
Yeah.
So such a great experience.
That's so awesome.
Thank you. Where did you go to school?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I went to Purchase, which I'm surrounded. I was
Oh,
surrounded
yeah.
by actors and dancers. And
Yeah.
I took like the non-major classes because there was no way that I was ever going to be in the I had no aspirations of even being in the conservatory.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's osmosis. I will soak it up
Yes.
if I'm around all the actors all the time.
Totally. That's so cool.
So Purchase was a cool place.
I remember when I was looking at theater schools going up to look at City Purchase, and it was really, really amazing.
It's cool. I get to go, going to a lot of the Broadway shows. I see so many Purchase alumni doing awesome things, and I'm just so happy.
Cool.
Yeah. So
I love it.
Yeah, but now you're a little bit behind the scenes as well.
Yeah.
With Attention Theater, which I think is so cool. I love
you.
what you guys are doing there. Tell everyone a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so my partner David Perlow and I started this theater company called Attention Theater, and we've been in existence for about a year and a half. We're still young, and we were presented with an idea to do a concert for Houston. Their theater district has been affected by Hurricane Harvey, and so we have gotten all these amazing Broadway people on board to do a concert on October 9th at the Green Room 42, where I'm doing my one-woman show. And all the proceeds will go to helping rebuild and fix the damage from the hurricane in Houston. So David will be directing, and he and I will be producing alongside Kenny and Brooke Singer. And Kenny Singer is based in Houston and has unfortunately had some damage to his home, and so it's cool that we're connected with people that have been actually affected. And to work with Brooke Singer, who is his daughter and also an actor, and had this idea. So we're really, really pumped about this idea, and David has gotten together an amazing group of people. That's
exciting.
You know, the Broadway community is amazing. They just want to help.
Yeah.
So October 9th, Green Room 42.
Yes, for all the New York actors out here, come through.
Yes, and the concert will be live streamed, so you can watch it online and donate online in case you're not able to be there in person.
What advice do you have for New York? Speaking of New York actors and the New York acting community, what tips do you have for making it and just getting your feet on the ground when you're coming to the city?
Well, New York and the industry can be a little bit intimidating, which is a part of what makes it so exciting, because I think that every artist has to find their way, and my first piece of advice would be to follow your excitement. Like, where do you get so excited? Is it the performing side of it? Is it like seeing shows? Is it talking about theater? Is it taking class? And put yourself in those positions as much as possible, because I was talking to a friend this morning, like, there's so many ups and downs, and sometimes it gets really scary because the ups are so high and you feel so good that then when everything comes back to normal, it's like, well, this doesn't feel as good. So the highs and lows are like always going to be there, but that's sort of a part of what it is. And I would always recommend to a new actor in New York to build your community, to make friends and to support each other and help each other out, and go see theater together and have each other's backs, because in the end, like, that community, David and I always call it our home team, like the people that are, that have your back. Those are important people and a big part of surviving this industry, I think.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. It was in the times where you come up against either self-doubt or that low that you're talking about, how you kind of push through and decided to be like, actually, I still want to be an actor. Because I feel like a lot of times there's that, is this really going to work for me? If you're going to a lot of auditions and you're not landing anything, like, what do you do to kind of...
Well, I've always known that this was what I wanted to do, and there was no, like, plan B, which was helpful to me. Like, there are other parts of my life, obviously, other than acting. I love to, like, help people, but I do it all through the arts, because that is my world. It's the world where I feel like I fit and where I shine and where I can be most vulnerable and I can express myself. And so that was always the most important thing to me. But for people that are going through a hard time, and when I was going through hard times, I would turn to looking for opportunities to help other people, because sometimes in the industry, you're always focused on yourself. And it's like, like, enough of me. I'm so sick of me. And sometimes it's just great to, like, put your attention on someone else and to just take the attention off of everything that you're getting and start giving. Wow, and that has been really helpful for me. And then the other thing is, when things are slow, I always turn to, like, creating my own thing, and whether that be a one-woman show or a workshop or a reading, of a play that I love, and just getting people together. Now that David and I have this theater company, it feels like there's always something to do, because if it's your project, it doesn't happen unless you're the one doing it. So, and also, like, be patient. It's so often that you feel like if you don't get this one job, it's going to, like, the world will end, and this is a marathon. If you're in this for the long haul, it's a marathon. So, like, a quiet month, like, doesn't mean you're a horrible person and an unsuccessful artist, even though it feels like it in the moment. In the moment, you're like, how am I going to get through this month? Like, how am I going to make rent? How am I going to, how am I going to survive? And I think that, patience and trust.
Yeah, trust. Yeah. Just trust the powers that be.
Yeah. It's easy. That's easier said than done.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, you're such an inspiration for so many people. Who inspires you? Who are some of the people that you look up to, whether it's actors or directors or creators of any sort that you look to and you go, oh, that is...
Yeah. This is actually kind of like a turn. I'm inspired by my family. My family they've been through a lot, and we've been through a lot together. And I think when you grow up, so I was injured when I was hurt in a car accident when I was 2. And my brother was also injured in the accident. My mom was involved in the accident. And I think when you go through a trauma with your family and you come out on the other side and you've made it, that team of people that you did that with are like the people that you know are your ride or die. Yeah. They are your people, and my mom, my dad, my brother, and my sister they all inspire me with qualities that they have to not just be an artist and do what I love, but to help people and to make an impact. And I think that I've been given an opportunity because of my challenge to make an impact, which is, when you're in it, not always easy to see. It's not always clear. Yeah. But my family has shown me that is possible, and that through any challenge you can come out on the other side stronger and better. And so that's kind of where my foundation and my inspiration comes from.
It's a solid foundation, I'd say.
Yeah, it's solid. It's solid. It's a good one.
Solid. And this will be my last question, then we'll open it up to audience questions.
Cool. I love that.
Do you have any advice or tips for other actors if they are in the same cast with another disabled actor?
Oh, cool question. I like that. I think that one of the greatest, one of the things that, how do I want to say this? One of the greatest gifts about working with people with different kinds of abilities and different kinds of disabilities, and I had this opportunity in Spring Awakening. I was certainly not the only person with a disability in the room.
Which also was so amazing.
Oh,
I just have to say.
Thanks.
Just throw it in there. I just loved. I know.
Just
to gush a little bit.
It was really a very unique and cool experience. But I would always tell people to not be afraid to ask questions and be curious. Yeah. And I think that what's cool about having a disability is that every single day you have to be creative in order to solve problems. So it is an opportunity to be so creative in the room because that person may not be able to do the dance movement like everyone else is, but there are 100 ways to do it. Yeah. And so I think that opens everyone's minds up, and it really, if the environment is right, creates a lot of creativity in the room. So I would always say to just ask questions and be curious and be open-minded and allow the person with a disability to lead in their own way about, because there are actors out there with disabilities who don't want to talk about it, and then you meet me. Who's like, yeah, I'll talk about it. Yeah, I'll talk about it.
I love that.
I'd love to talk about
and then there's...
I'll talk about myself. But
amazing. So ask questions.
Ask questions.
That's
ask
great.
questions
That's
because
great.
Whether I'm sitting in a wheelchair or not, my life is different than yours.
Yeah.
And so allow yourself to be curious and ask good questions. You know what I mean?
What's a bad question? What's an example of a bad question?
Why don't your legs work? That's a bad question. That's so boring. It's so boring. I'm so bored.
I love how your critique is this is boring.
I'm so bored because you can Google me and see that I have a spinal cord injury, and then you Wikipedia that or you WebMD a spinal cord injury, and there you go. That's your answer. That's why my legs don't work. But to me, that's just so not interesting.
Yeah.
And, like, to me, what's interesting is, like, you know, how do you experience the winter? How do you experience sex? How do you experience being at a bar where everyone's standing? Like those environmental situations that, like, are my reality but not yours. Like, to me, those are cool questions. I also like, instead of asking, okay, do you mind? Do we have time? Can I go on?
Yeah, I think we have time.
So often when people encounter or are interacting with somebody with a disability, the language of what's wrong with you comes up, and that language is powerful because immediately you're sort of put into a position of explaining yourself. So I always encourage people to ask the question, what is your story?
Yeah.
Because it allows the person to not have to explain and share what they want to share. And I think that could also go for anyone. Like, you know, we all come from different worlds, and so asking somebody what their story is allows them to share what they want to share and what they're comfortable with, instead of like, what's wrong with you? What do you mean? Like, what do you think is wrong with me? I'm not sure. I haven't, like, do you see what I'm saying?
Of course,
so I think language and the way that we ask questions is really important to, like, put some thought into it.
Yeah. And I'd hope that, like, actors would put in thought into their questions that they ask about other people.
Yeah. But yeah, as actors, we are storytellers, and I think it's important to get good at asking good questions.
Absolutely. That was great.
Cool.
I think these are all great tips,
Okay,
and I hope
good.
everyone takes away from these.
Cool.
So, real quick with audience questions. So, this is from Francis Ramos. Happy belated birthday, Allie.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the question is, do you have a preference between acting for film or for stage or for TV?
Great question. What is my preference? So my roots are theater. So whenever I'm doing stage acting, I feel like I'm home. But doing camera acting is really, really vulnerable and really scary. So right now it's something that I'm really interested in and wanting to do more of.
Cool. Awesome. This is from, I might mess this name up, and I'm sorry. Bala Ninjinabam. What traits do you think an actor should have to make it in the industry? And have longevity in the industry?
Yes, tenacity and persistence.
And trust.
And trust, self-awareness, and creativity, not just in a rehearsal room, but in your own life and in your own world, because many times things won't go the way that you plan. And David always says that he thinks that flexibility is so important, and I like that. That if something doesn't go one way, that you're flexible and creative and able to come up with something that is maybe even better than the first plan.
Yeah, great. This is from Caitlin Williams. Thanks for writing in, Caitlin.
Kate!
Do we know Kate?
Yes.
Do we know Kate?
Hi, Kate is the best. Kate is the best friend.
Where do you see yourself in the next year? Do you have any specific goals that you want to accomplish?
Kate! That's a hard question. No. In the next year, I was just texting with a friend this morning talking about how I am really excited about being in a position to not just only act, but also to be producing and creating and writing. So I'm really excited in this next year to be putting out work that I am creating from scratch. So there are a few things that I'm excited about after this one-woman show, and to really begin to use my voice with my work and not just doing other people's work. So that's kind of what I would like to be doing work-wise. And then, like, personally, like, I want to travel, and I want to continue to find new ways to help people that are in need.
Awesome. And this will be the last question. This is from Erica Gardner. What's been the biggest challenge you've faced in creating your own content? Speaking of, that's a good...
Great question. the very start, when you sit down and you've got nothing, and like you could go make coffee, you could go like clean your bathroom, like there's 100 other things that you could go do, and to decide to stick with something and follow a project through to the end, I think is the hardest part, because self-doubt as an artist is like everywhere, like constantly like, oh, you're not good enough, and like this isn't gonna work out, that's a dumb idea, like it's all surrounding you. And so
have you thought about going into puppetry?
Yes, seriously. No, not puppetry, just like I'm crazy and I have 1,000 voices in my head. No,
this
but
just reminds me of like
yeah, but you know what I mean. You're like
Absolutely
you're like traveling to work, or you're like on your way home, and it's just like it is loud up here, and I
you're like, shh, I'm writing.
I'm like, enough, okay, we know, but in all seriousness, I think that the very beginning is the hardest part, and I'm saying this out loud because I'm going to take my own advice. I think setting a goal of what you want to accomplish and achieve, and maybe even a deadline, is helpful. Or else you can really go off on those tangents, or
bathroom cleaning.
Forget it. I'm going to go make the bed. It's like, what? No, you're like working now.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for coming.
you.
This was so great.
Thank you, Brianna. This
Thank
is
you
awesome.
for joining us. Again, this is Ali Stroker. I'm Brianna Rodriguez. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.